Okay, so when we finish the drill press operations, the good thing is that you resharpen the drills that you do, right? If they get dull while you're doing the operations, this is one way of doing this. Mr. Mo has a machine. It's a lot easier. You plug it in and you just move things back and forth. But every good machinist, every good welder should know how to do an offhand grind. Okay, so the offhand sharpening, and we will get into all the safety aspects of the grinder in a different video. So I'm going to run through it to make sure everybody understands that this has got to be set up just the same way. This is another machine. You're going to inspect it to make sure there's no cracks in the electrical portion, that we have different eye protection. Remember, 3 layers. So the glasses are 1, the machine is 2, and my face shield is 3. All right? You want to make sure that the tool rest is about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch, so you're not getting anything caught in there. And I noticed that on some of the videos, not mine, that some of the videos, guys are wearing gloves as they're grinding. Do not use gloves, because if you have gloves on and they're a little bit loose, that could catch in there and it'll drag your finger and hand into the grinder, and that is not a fun thing, right? So whatever you see on any of these grinding videos and you see somebody with gloves, just look at that and say, they're wrong. Okay, so once we get this done, the spark arrestor also has to be about a 1/16 of an 1/8 of an inch there. And you want to check the grinding wheel to make sure there's no coating or anything like that. This is only for steel. This is not for aluminum. You will never use the grinders for aluminum. We have hand grinders for aluminum. So once we get that set, we got to make sure that we have water set up so that we can quench. The quenching is to make sure that we do not lose the temper of this drill bit. If we lose the temper of the drill bit, it's not going to cut for you. Okay? And you will see the difference if you see it turned a brownish color first and then a bluish color. You just lost your temper, so you got to grind that down. So we're going to go ahead and use this as a quench tank, right? The only thing that we have to watch out for is when we go do that, we need to be careful and mindful where the grinding wheel is. So I'm going to turn this on. The way we turn on this grinder is we stand off to the side. The reason why we stand off to the side, all the safety is on the side of the grinder, right? So if something should happen, it's all going to go that way. So you're going to let people know that you're getting ready to start this grinder. The first thing that you do is, in a loud voice, you're going to say clear. So you're going to say, clear! Anybody that's in this area in front of the grinder should hear that and move off to the side. Then you're going to reach over here to the start button, and once we start it, the grinder has to come up to the RPMs that it needs to do its work. So you're going to wait for a couple seconds till it comes up to the working RPMs. Clear! Okay. What a lot of people do here, and these are pretty flat, so we have to dress this. When we do our video with the grinders, we'll show you how to dress a wheel. Right now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be placing this in a different angle so that your cutting edge is working at the same time getting your chisel point. So we talked about the drill point gauge. This is a 32-degree drill point gauge. The way it works is you're going to set this up against the angle portion of the drill point gauge. There are notches and measurements that are on this drill point gauge that when we check one side and we go to check the other side, it should be equal. The angle should be the angle that you need, right? And this has to be with you at all times when you're doing the offhand sharpening. So what we want to do is we want to come almost directly in front of the grinding wheel, and you want to turn your attention to the drill bit and put it at about a 45-degree angle. So what that does, that gets your cutting angle, and you'll see where the cutting edge is. You're going to start at the bottom, and you're going to lightly move it up. So you're going to start at the bottom. Now, if you notice, see how shiny that is? If you look at that and it has a good single coat and not what they call facets, right? Facets are like diamonds where they have different points and you can see different grinds. So if you see that shiny point, that's a good grind. The other thing that you need to look at is a chisel point to make sure it's coming to an edge. So we did this side. What we're going to do is we're going to rotate it and do the opposite side. So we'll take it down here. Now, since we've done this a couple times, we'll take the drill point gauge, check the cutting edge, the cutting edge, and make sure that it's equal, which it is. The chisel point has not come out the way I wanted it to, so we're going to have to do a couple more grinds. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to try and look at this, and I'll explain as we go. So, okay, so if you take a look, there's no facets on either one of the sides of the angles. The chisel edge is nice and flush right here, and like I said, the chisel edge stops it from walking. We didn't put a lot of pressure on it, so we're not worried about the temper, so I didn't quench it. If you put a little bit more pressure and you work it constantly, it's going to be hot, right? While you're working this with gloves, you could tell when it starts getting a little bit too hot where you got to quench it. So this right here is set up for the next person to use. What we need to do to shut this down is we're going to go ahead and press the off button. Because of the size of the wheels, it takes a while for this wheel to come down to where it's stopping. So this one, actually you could go ahead and finish your drill bit while it's stopping. Okay. So if we have this still going, we do not walk away from the grinder. Never walk away from the grinder unless it's stopped. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab a piece of metal. We're going to set this down. Well, we'll put it in our pocket. And what we're going to do is run a piece of metal across there until it stops. Now this is going to be hot because I pushed it in there so much, so we don't want to hurt anybody. Make sure you quench it, throw it back into the inspiration bin. Okay? When you stop this grinder, it finishes going. You want to just make sure that everything's set nothing's wrong with any of these safety guards, and that the machine is ready to go for the next person. Okay, to finish up the class, what I want you to understand what we did. First off, we did the layout, which we had a class earlier on how to lay out your project material. We did the tool preparation. Tool preparation is what we saw on the table behind us, right? We did the machine inspection, both for the drill press and for the grinder. We did the operation itself and the cleanup. Once the tools are back in their place, the only thing that you need to remember is how to use, like for instance on the offhand sharpening, how to use a drill point gauge. Remember, it's 32 degrees, right? And when you're using the drill press, steel are these numbers, 80 to 200, aluminum 200 to 400. We will continue with videos of different things in the shop, and as before I told you, you need to make sure you take notes because there's going to be a small quiz after the class.